What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Good Success Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Culler, and today is round two. So we have Jeff Johnson back on the live stream here. And first of all, we want to apologize.
We are pumped.
We had a little bit of a technical difficulty. If you guys jumped on last Friday, first of all, thank you for doing that. But second of all, we apologize for what happened. We had some technical difficulties, and it was on our end.
Sorry, Jared did the rendering. So
yeah,
if you guys know Jared, you guys will know it's not his forte.
Yeah, so Jared is he's not a techie at all.
He's no longer allowed near the cameras.
Not at all. So anyway, but we do want to thank Jeff for jumping back on here and being willing to do that. That was very, very nice of him and very forgiving for you to do that. So
we'll get it right this time.
We're going to get it right this time. This time is going to be so much better than what it was going to be last Friday. So you guys are in for a real treat. But today we got Jeff Johnson on the live stream. Jeff is from Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm going to have him introduce himself in just a minute here. But before that, if you guys are watching on the live stream right now, if you're not watching this later on after it's been posted, thank you for jumping on, and make sure you guys share this around. We hope to get this out to so many people. Jeff has a lot of value to share with us today on the live stream. We have some really good questions for him. So share this around. Give it a bunch of likes. So I see the likes coming in right now. Make sure you guys do that. And then also comment below. If you have any questions for us or for Jeff at all, make sure you guys comment below. And then tag your friends. Tag your friends to come join the live stream. So Tom's doing that right now. We are going to have Kevin that is going to be on the comments below, so that if we have anything linked, that's going to be down in the description below for you guys to check out. Any websites that we have, we'll link Jeff's it's GoNewPathProperties.com, right?
No, it's just GoNewPath.com.
GoNewPath.com, that's what it is. And that's a new website, right? You guys just got that up.
Yeah, we just got it finished. It's awesome. Turned out great.
Looks good.
Who helped you with that again?
Eddie's team did at
Go Media?
Go Media, yep.
Awesome, yes.
Awesome. It looks great. So you guys go check that out. He has we're going to talk a little bit about his team, but he has all of the bios from his team there. You guys can read that and introduce his team at New Path Properties. And so before we get into the actual introduction and then the questions, guys, if you are not already, make sure you are subscribed to the Good Success Podcast. We'll have it all linked below. It is on iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and then Anchor. So make sure you check that out. And then like all of our social media profiles, we have Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. So make sure you're on there. And then also our Good Success Mastermind. So Jeff is actually a part of our Good Success Mastermind. He has been in it. It will be a year coming up in May. So we're super excited to have him on board for that long. And he is definitely one of our cornerstone members. But he's been with us in the mastermind for that long. And we hope to have him through the rest of the time that he's even alive. So we need to keep you on there. So
I'm never retiring. So
I would say up to retirement, but we still want you in there at that point.
I'm never going to retire.
Good to hear. But if you guys are interested in the Good Success Mastermind, go to goodsuccess.com/mastermind. Our next event is May 9 through 11. And we do have an application process. We don't let just anybody in. We do vet numbers. So it's not just people that are just getting into real estate. These are guys that are experienced, and it's an elite group of real estate investors in our room. We built up a great community, but we do vet that, but also your character, who you are, and we want to make sure that we have top-notch people that are in the room. So goodsuccess.com/mastermind. Go check it out. Next event is May 9 through 11. So without further ado, Jeff, let's go ahead and get a brief introduction of you. So tell us about yourself, what you do, how long you've been doing that, and where you're at.
Okay, so my name's Jeff Johnson. I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina. I own New Path Properties. We've been in business since 2009. We've been, mainly doing flips since 2009, but we also do some new builds here and there when it makes sense. I was a civil engineer for about 20 years. I was a construction manager. I did all manner of things in the civil engineering world for a very long time, but just always had a passion for real estate, and just finally took the leap after the recession in 2009, and I haven't looked back. I went full time in real estate in 2014, and it was the best thing I ever did. So just really enjoying networking, and that's really my big thing here in Charlotte. I love to network. I run a local RIA subgroup here. I love to meet people and work with people, helping them build their businesses, and that helps me build my business. So I've got a team now of 4 people, including myself, and we're growing and just doing more and more real estate. So joining the Good Success Mastermind has been a huge help for me too. I can't say enough about you guys and you know, the efforts that you guys put forth and helping us grow our businesses. So it's just been a great experience. So I don't know what else you guys want to know, but you know, I grew up in a old house that was built in the 1890s, and literally my whole childhood was rehabbing homes. So it's kind of like second nature to me.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that doesn't mean you have to have that experience to do what I do, but it definitely was helpful.
Now we got about 10 minutes into the live stream last time, and I asked about Kaliko and Brad. So how did you come about finding them? They're just grade A people, down to earth people. I know Kaliko pretty well. We've chatted back and forth on Facebook Messenger and whatnot. And then when he came to the mastermind in August of last year. So tell us a little bit about how you came across them and how I believe they found you. But can you explain that real quick? Because I know a lot of people out there are struggling with finding good people to bring on board. So how did you come about them?
So the way that I found them, again, you know, is they found me, but it's mainly through my networking connections, just letting people know what my needs were, and people just, you know, connected me with those guys. So really, I let a couple people know I had a need for an acquisitions manager, and I'd known Kaliko for a while, and he and I just got to talking about it, and I bought a couple properties from him when he was a wholesaler. And he just really struck me as a good, solid, loyal guy. And it just, you know, over the course of 2 or 3 lunches, we just decided that we were a good fit for each other. And, you know, he's been with me probably a year and a half now, and I haven't looked back on that hire. He's great.
Awesome.
And Bradley's, you know, the same sort of situation. I let folks know that I needed some help in the project management realm, and had a friend of a friend who knew Bradley, and next thing you know, we're getting together and talking about what he can do for me. And he's already had some experience. He'd already done some flips himself. And so it was kind of a natural fit. And I'm actually moving him into more of a management position at this point and replacing him. So slowly letting go of the vine, and it takes good people to do that. You got to be able to trust those people. For me, the biggest thing was loyalty, you know, loyalty and character. I wasn't so worried about their skill set. You know, that can come along. But the loyalty and character is what I really look for. So those guys are great additions to my team.
That's awesome. And I like the word loyalty that you use. It seems like, just from seeing you guys, not just in person, but also on Facebook and everything, and then being on some conference calls with you, like, you guys seem like your best buds. It's pretty awesome. You guys are working together and you're best friends, and it's like, it's a well-oiled machine. It looks awesome. So
well, maybe not every day, but yeah, for the most part, we keep each other in check. And I think what I love about those guys is their personalities really mesh well with mine. You know, Brad's very calm and calculated, and I tend to get spun up from time to time, and so he can keep me calm. And Kaliko's he's a hard driving guy, so when I get lazy, he drives me harder. So it's just really a good combination.
Awesome. All right. So how and why did you get started in fix and flipping homes? So I know that you mentioned a little bit about your early days of where you lived when you were a child, but like, explain how you got into it, and like why you even were interested in fix and flipping homes. Like, right after the recession, 2009, why did you even get into it?
Well, I think it's one of those things. I saw an opportunity. You know, there was a lot of properties. I saw a lot of for sale signs. And it just seemed like, if I'm not going to do this now, when am I going to ever do it? You know, it was easy to buy property. I'd done a lot of research on the internet, and I got hooked up with my mentor out in California, Alexis McGee. She started the foreclosures.com website. And I went out there for some training and just really got a solid foundation of, you know, what she calls white knight investing, which is basically you focus on helping people, and then the houses and the benefits and the money come after that. So it was a great way to start investing, was really to focus on the person and not so much on the profit. And that's kind of how we've built our business, is focusing on people. So I did a coaching program through her, and it took me 9 months to find my first deal. 9 months, and I think I told you guys over 200 offers.
Yeah.
None of those offers ever got accepted. It actually was from making offers that I got hooked up with the right person. And next thing you know, it just, everything started to snowball from there. And once you buy that first deal, it's kind of like, you just started that 600-pound boulder rolling. So after that, it just got easier and easier and easier to find property.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, even from the very beginning, when you started talking, you said that you help other people build their businesses and then you build yours. And then, and I didn't know that story that you just talked about your mentor that, really focuses on the people instead of the profit. And I think that really, like, if you talk about good success, like, that's what we're all about. We're all about having the right kind of success. And normally the right kind of success means that money comes later, and it will come. It's not that it won't come, it will come, but you just have to focus on the right things first. And then really, I think, just to review a little bit with how he found his people, we talk about this sometimes too. Like, it's not about who you know, it's about who knows you. Right. And the reason how the people knew him was because he was helping other people. And he was setting himself up as a way to be able to be a conduit to help other people, even though he didn't necessarily even at the very, very beginning, he didn't even know what he didn't know. Mm-hmm. He was still trying to set himself up to be able to help other people. So I think that that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing that you mentioned is how many offers did you put in until one got even accepted?
It was in the 220s, if I remember right, and none of those offers got accepted. That's the funny thing, is I kept making offers, and it's kind of funny. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. And for some reason, I just kept plugging away at those offers, thinking, okay, this is going to be the one. This is going to be the one. And but what that did is it kept me in the right circle of people. And you express your needs to enough people, and eventually you're going to hit the right person at the right time. And that's exactly what happened. Is I just got on the phone with the right person at the right time. Next thing you knew, they knew somebody that had a deal, and they floated me that deal. So I bought my first deal from a wholesaler. And actually, I bought my first probably 40 deals from wholesalers, because I was working full time and I didn't have time to market or do any of those things. So that's really what it was, is just keeping after it. And I got close to quitting. I'll be honest with you. 9 months of making offers and spending, hours and hours and hours. It's kind of like, what am I doing? But just kept after it. And next thing you know, just, got in front of the right person. That's it.
So express as many needs as you can to as many people as you can.
Yes. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable. That's huge.
And then persistence seems to be the key there.
Yes.
Now, something that you talk. Okay, so you were putting in these offers, but you're working your full-time job while putting those offers in, correct?
Yes.
So a question that we don't have on the list here: how do you, when somebody is trying to get into real estate, so this happens all the time. We come across people all the time, even at the Think Realty Expos that we go to. People come to us and say, I'm working my full-time gig, but I'm thinking about getting into real estate, or I've done a couple deals. I'm just trying to get out of my full-time job so I can start my own thing with real estate. What would you say to somebody that's thinking about that? Because it seems like, I don't know what the transition period was for you from the time you even started putting that first deal in to the time you quit your full-time job and went into real estate. But what is like the secret sauce in that time frame for somebody that's thinking about doing kind of like what you did?
That's a tough one. The way I look at it, there's 24 hours in the day. You should probably be sleeping at least 6 of those. I was kind of looking at it in my position. I knew I didn't want to work for someone else the rest of my life. I knew I loved real estate. And so there was a drive there. And so I spent most of my spare time looking for deals. And I think anyone that's wanting to get started, you just have to peel some time out during the day, an hour, 2 hours, whatever that is, and then be consistent. That was the biggest thing. Fridays were my real estate day. I was lucky. I worked 410, so I had Fridays off, and I spent all day Friday on my real estate business. That doesn't mean you need to spend a full day on it, but you got a Saturday, or I wouldn't recommend a Sunday. You need to go to church on Sunday now. But Saturdays, you can spend Saturdays. And if you got a family, let them know you're trying to build a legacy. You're trying to build something for the family. I think a lot of people struggle with, work-life balance, but you're going to have to sacrifice for a little while to really get started. The thing that I didn't do early on was network. I tried to do everything on my own. I had all of this information that I had received from my mentor, and I just tried to follow that program, which was fine, but I didn't go out and network. So that's the biggest, if I had started networking when I first started, I'd be miles ahead of where I am now. So that'd be my biggest piece of advice is get out, network, go to meetings. And I just didn't do that. I guarantee I would have found a deal a lot sooner had I done that.
So really, it's all about your network. I mean, if you would have gone out in the very first week and started going to meetings and meeting local people, you probably would have gotten that deal so much faster. And we always say this in Mastermind too. Like, your network is more than your net worth. It's your survival plan. It's like what can get you started is what can be your safety net for when things go bad, is to have a good network. But your network really is speed. You don't have to do the same things to get to your results, but they will help you get there faster. So you could have made your 200 offers to these people that were well more connected already, and you could have gotten your deals so much quicker if you would have had the right network. I mean, I think that's perfect. But also being vulnerable, being consistent, don't give up. I mean, all those things are common themes here.
So do you mind sharing what was the time frame from the time you put in that first offer to the time you quit your full-time job to go work in your real estate?
Oh, okay. So my first offer I probably made in, I want to say it was January of 2009 is when I really started, doing that. And I would love to tell you, Josh, that I went into my job and I said, you know what, I quit. But what really happened is I got laid off.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't know if I told you that, but
no, you didn't.
Sometimes God has to kick you out a window, to get you where he wants you. And that's really what happened to me. But, and I'll be honest with you, the day I got laid off, I'd already gone part-time. So I was only working 30 hours a week because I was spending so much time in real estate. So it was an easy decision for them because I was a part-time employee and they were downsizing. And it really was the best thing that ever happened to me. And looking back, I mean, I should have quit years before that. But I was afraid, honestly. Having that paycheck every 2 weeks was nice. I always knew I could pay my bills, even if I wasn't able to buy real estate deals or whatever. I always had that paycheck. But I look back now and I'm like, man, how much did I miss out on sitting in that office for, 5 more years after I figured out what I wanted to do. But, everybody's got their own story. That's mine. And getting that call from the owner of the company, was honestly in my career was the best thing that's ever happened to me. So it took me 5 years to get to that point. And I think I had done maybe 60 flips, 55, 60 flips before I actually got to that point. I could have quit long before that. But,
right.
I'm a creature of habit.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I had spent 5 years in college to get my engineering degree and studied for my professional engineer exam. So I had all of this, investment in my education. And I'm like, God, do I really want to throw all that away? But really what I was doing is throwing my life away the longer I spent in that job.
Yeah, but I think what's interesting too is what you focus on expands. And sometimes we get what we're focusing on in a way that we wouldn't wish upon ourselves. We don't know what's going to happen, but at least you already had something else going. And I started my own side business when I was 19 years old. I had started working for a guy when I was 12. And I started working for a new guy when I was 18 years old. In 19, I started my own side business. And I think a lot of times people need to do that, especially when they're younger, and have that have that plan B started already, or have that what could be your new future plan A built up, and focusing on something that you are really passionate about, that you really want to do, and putting yourself in your core genius and putting yourself in that, so that way you can decide what you're doing, and then also how to make an impact on other people. So and Jeff does that in his business, and we appreciate him for that. So
yeah, that's an incredible story, Jeff. I didn't know that about you, so that's good to hear. Especially for a lot of people that are encouraged, because we've heard the story many, many times that, got laid off, got into real estate, and now I wish I would have done it sooner. But,
Yeah.
It's different when you hear it from somebody personally, as opposed to like in an article or, on TV or something like that. So that's awesome. So if you guys are joining live right now, make sure you guys share this video around. We're trying to get this to go viral, so make sure you guys do that. We got Jeff Johnson on the line here from Charlotte, North Carolina with New Path Properties, and he has his website link below, so you guys make sure you go check them out and see what they're all about. So he is a all-star fix and flipper in the Charlotte market, and so we got a few questions we've already asked him. We're going to keep going here, so make sure you guys share this live stream, comment below, leave some likes on there, so make sure you guys do that. So one thing that New Path Properties and Jeff Johnson pride themselves on is the top shelf fix and flips, like the fully decked out designs and these beautiful homes, beautiful landscaping. I've seen your guys' homes, and they're just absolutely gorgeous and totally just different from any other fix and flip that, is typical in our market. So tell us why you even not just started doing that, but why you're even continuing to do it. Why the top shelf flips?
Well, I think I gave you guys the example of guys that work in forestry. When they go out into a new forest and they cut down trees, they always plant new trees. And that's the way I look at my business is, when I'm raising price points in a neighborhood, I'm planting trees for future opportunities in neighborhoods and areas. And I mean, I think I told you that I have one neighborhood, I think I'm on my 8th flip. And every time I do a flip in there, I raise the price point a little bit more. And every time I've done that, I've created more opportunity, not just for me, but for other people in that neighborhood. And you can't do that without an exceptional product. People aren't going to walk into a house that's lipstick on a pig and pay a premium for it. They're just not. People are very picky. They've watched a lot of HGTV, wink, wink, and they know what they want. And I can't give them the fixer-upper house, but we get pretty close, and we've been able to bump price points, and they seem to appraise. I mean, appraisers are very, very. They've got their eyeballs on finishes. They want to see that there's been care taken inside of a house and that things are done right. So that's really what it's done. It's just created more margin for us in our market. Because we're able to raise price points. And of course, the asking prices follow up behind that, but we've been able to continue to create more and more margin as we go along. So that's one of the reasons we do it. Plus, I just love it when people walk in and fall in love with one of our flips. I mean, that's one of my favorite things is seeing buyers' faces and getting testimonials from people, meeting them at the closing table. I mean, if you look at my Facebook page, I've got dozens of pictures, me and the buyers at the closing table, taking a picture, because they're so happy that they found this house, and this is their house. And I don't know, it's just always been beneficial. Plus, it gives my company a reputation for quality, which I really like. And even people who want to sell their houses to me, when they see that, it changes the conversation a lot of times.
Yeah, when they see what you've done to the other houses, they're
Right.
totally on board. Awesome. So it's almost like you, in a way, have a little bit of control of your market when it comes to, especially in the neighborhood that you've done 8 flips now.
Right.
A little bit. It's
not only that, it's every single time you do a flip, or every time you raise the price. So how much is your average retail price? Just give me a number.
That's going to depend on what time of year we're talking about. Because I mean, we've got them going from, we've got a mobile home going at 85 grand all the way up to a $650,000 new build. So we're all over the map. Most of them I end up, around 250 to 300,000.
So when you're raising the price points, how much price point are you raising? So 30, 40, 10, 20?
Well, okay, so in that specific neighborhood, if we wanted to go through that timeline, and they're all within 600 square feet of each other, but we started out at probably 175 a square foot. Then the next house we sold was 185, and then we hit 200, and now we're at 205, and then we're at 2. So it's really just we're just marginally increasing the square foot prices every time we sell something, by
Right.
$5 or $10.
Right. But so $5 or $10 equates to $20,000 each time.
That's right. That's
so,
right.
So what you've done though, is you've given yourself room in case there is market time, or if the market does go down a little bit, you've given yourself extra margin every single time. Not only can other people come in and flip behind you and maybe get a little less or the same as that you're getting, but now you have the opportunity to go and even spread more margin and be able to build more margin in that community. So it's kind of like forced appreciation in a house. When you buy a house for, say, 150 and you put 50 into it, and now it's all of a sudden worth 280 or whatever it is, you force the appreciation. So now instead of forcing the appreciation on just the property, you're forcing appreciation on the whole community and in the whole neighborhood. So it doesn't just benefit you, it benefits everybody else, but it gives you a whole lot more benefit down the road because you know what it takes in order to raise that margin.
Right, right.
And I said it before, I'll say it again. This is not just in business or just in home flipping, but this is the same thing in relationships and in your business and in your brand. If you've built up yourself up some margin with your company, for instance, or your brand or your name, that you've done so much good for people that like something comes in, bad news, it's going to give you that extra margin. I know a billionaire that actually never had anything out on his name, nobody ever talked about him. He didn't have any brand build up, and one bad thing completely destroyed his business because he couldn't go back and rebuild that margin that he didn't have. So what Jeff is doing here is he's building more and more margin every single time. So if a bad flip does come in, or let's just say the market does move a little bit, it's not going to hurt as much as if it would have. So again, it kind of goes back to like creating yourself a survival net, for instance. And that's what building your houses to a better level will do. That's what building your business to a better level, building your brand, and building relationships with your spouse or with anybody. Like you have to build in that extra margin so that way when tough times come, you'll be able to survive. So it's, I know you're not experiencing that survival plan right now, but like you should always be thinking about that. What's going to happen?
I'm always thinking about it. It keeps me up at night sometimes.
Right. So what's going to happen when winter comes? We're in the summertime right now. When it comes to house flipping, we're seeing prices raise $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 in 6 months. And we've never seen that in the Midwest. And we're now finally just starting to see that, but which is great for us. And we're doing the same thing. We just sold a house, I think $50,000 more than any other house in this neighborhood has ever sold for. Nice. And we had a little bit of a problem with it appraising, and we even got the buyer to bring extra money to closing because they know that the house is, that they want that house, and to them it's worth that much money.
One question that I have that I've actually seen, so Max Keller's in our mastermind and he does this. Do you actually stage all of your flips?
Ooh, that's a great question. So we didn't used to. We literally, the last 4 flips that we've done, we've just started staging. Part of the problem I had was, number one, finding a good stager who was reasonably priced. Number 2, being able to work around our schedule. And then just the cost alone is just outrageous. So I'm very lucky. Brad's wife is very good. She's got a great design eye. So these last few properties, we've actually bought the furniture and they are staging the houses for us. And those pictures will be on my website and my Facebook page here, probably in the next 2-3 weeks as we get those photos taken. But, for a couple $1,000s a property, I've been able to buy the furniture and the accessories and all those little, knickknacks that you put all over the place. and we'll be able to take that to the next property and the next property and the next property. So I kind of was shying away from that for a while because the market was so hot. But I think what I realized is staging does two things. You're going to get the maximum price for your house. People walk in and they're not focused on what they don't like about the house, because every house has got something that somebody's not going to like. That sort of fades into the background. So they start focusing on the layout, on the furniture, on the finishes. And so it helps sell things faster, and you sell it for more money. And it just overall, it presents nicer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we found the same thing, and I guess I'm just lucky that my wife just loves to do that kind of stuff. It takes her a couple days on every single house, but we probably have enough furniture to stage about 2 or 3 houses at a time. And we actually have like 10 flips, I think, that are on the market or really close to being in the market right now. So we'll probably only have about 3 of them fully staged, and then we'll just do a mini stage on the other ones, just like bathrooms and kitchens and stuff like that. But I definitely agree with you. It's definitely worth it, especially in today's market. And you're exactly right. It's what's really funny is the photographer will take pictures of all your furniture, and it's like, okay, this has nothing to do with the house. They don't get the furniture, but that's what's on all the pictures on the MLS. So
So would you say it is worth it to stage the house?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, now if I'm doing, like, I'm not going to stage the mobile home when I go to sell.
Right.
You know, there's houses that you're selling just based on pure value. Really, anything under 150 grand, I'm not going to stage it, because there's just so much demand and so little inventory that it's just not necessary.
Not worth the time, yeah.
But especially if I'm in a neighborhood and I'm trying to push price points, I'm going to want to stage and get those price points up. And I've got some funky houses that were built in the 70s. And people sometimes will walk in and they're just like, I just don't see the flow, how this would work. And so if you have it staged, they go, oh, okay, this is where the table goes. This is where the couch could go, my TV, blah, blah, blah. You know, it really helps people visualize their furniture in there.
Gotcha.
A sale is just a transfer of belief, and that belief, you have to help them believe sometimes that they can live there. But then you also have to like get them emotionally attached. And like sometimes if they can actually see themselves sitting down or laying down in that bed or whatever the case is, drinking the cup of coffee, you know, some of my realtors will do open houses and they'll bake cookies, and, you know, all that extra little stuff helps a lot.
Yeah. Awesome. That's something I've always been curious of, is like, why stage the houses? And so even with your top shelf designs, it seems so practical to do. So awesome. So we talked about top shelf designs. What is the best thing in the year 2017 all the way up until now? So we're into the beginning of March. So from January 2017 to now, what is the best thing that you have done for your business, implemented in your business, or whatever it is to help your business grow to where it is now in the past year for New Path Properties?
Really just letting go of some of the day-to-day responsibilities and letting go of some of the control. I mean, I'm kind of a control freak when it comes to quality of my flips and my builds. So that's been the hardest thing for me, but it's also been the best thing because I'm able to do things like what we're doing right now. Network and build our brand and just be around other like-minded individuals. So that's been the biggest thing and then also having some processes and automating some things. We're getting there. I mean, we're still learning, but we're starting to automate some of our marketing. And then just really just being able to network more has been huge for me. Huge. I mean, I can think back over the last year on probably 10 meetings I've had where those meetings made me, you know, $50,000 to $100,000. Just the people I met and the relationships I built and the properties I bought and the things that I did. So, you know, to me, that's high value stuff. That's what I need to be doing. I don't need to be out, you know, crawling under houses. Not that I don't do that occasionally, because I do, but that's kind of that's where I need to be.
So letting go of those 10, 20, $50 an hour tasks, so that way you can reach up and do those $1,000, $10,000 an hour tasks.
Yes, exactly.
Just what we talked about the last mastermind, and you know, like that's That's so true sometimes. And it doesn't mean that you're not always going to go back out and do something, because sometimes it's just fun. And sometimes you need to hold people accountable, and they need to know that you're going to check up on them.
Right.
But at the same time, like, and checking up on them sometimes is $1,000 an hour task, because it's going to like create momentum or not let them make the same mistake down the road. So you have to do those things sometimes, but being able to network with the right people and make those phone calls and create those relationships with people is just huge. I mean, that's the same way it is for me. So
when you say letting go of the vine, just for people that may not understand fully what that term means, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, but first of all, how did you come about finding out that you needed to let go of the vine? And then second of all, how did you move forward with letting go?
Well, reading some books, first of all, and just reading about that concept in and of itself, reading Traction and figuring out that, for me to grow, I needed to maximize my time and spend most of my time in my core genius, which is, and I'm good at construction. I understand construction. I know the ins and outs of it, but that's not where my time is best spent. And really just realizing, like, if I want my business to grow and I don't want to die of overwork, and I want to continue to have a good relationship with my wife and my kids, I can't grow anymore and not let somebody take over some of these tasks. So I started out by hiring some contract project managers. Probably about 2 years ago, I dabbled in it, and then I hired somebody, a couple pretty much full-time, to manage my jobs. And that, I had some limited success with that. There's some things we did right and did wrong. And slowly just got to the point where I may check in on a property every couple of weeks, every few weeks. I might drive by and take a look at it. If something's lagging behind, I'm on top of it because that's my cash flow. But I'm not there every day checking on quality. And I've had to really set some quality standards for people, and it's tough. I mean, you guys know, Tom, dealing with contractors, that's probably the hardest part of our business, is trying to relay our expectations to somebody who's there every day in the grind, painting and putting up drywall and those kinds of things to get your vision. It's just kind of hard to relay that to somebody that's in a kind of a labor position. So we struggle with that. I think there's not a single person in our job that doesn't struggle with relaying those expectations and meeting those expectations.
Yeah, and holding people accountable and making them come back and get to where the standard that you want to get to. I don't care if you're a newbie, the very first house you flipped, or if you're a $1 billion investor doing it like clockwork. Like, the biggest problem right now in the industry is contracting. And it's mainly because there's not enough contractors. It's kind of a supply and demand issue. There's too much work right now and not enough contractors. That's the number one problem. And the number two problem is just people will do the standard that you allow them to go to. So you have to hold them accountable for it.
That's right.
Absolutely.
So the best thing that you said you've done is let go, and that's let you let go of the vine and be able to be in the seats that you need to put yourself into, to raise above the clouds and be able to really see your business from a larger standpoint, and be able to focus on creating new relationships and being the expert and helping your brand and all that. So that's awesome.
So not only that, but being able to reap some of the rewards of having a successful business, go on some trips and spend some time in the mountains and recharge a little bit. I mean, that's huge to know that things are being taken care of while you're away, enjoying Paris or whatever, we might do.
It helps you appreciate them too more.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I've asked about a timeline and a couple questions ago, but the reason I ask is because a lot of new real estate investors that have done maybe one or two deals or are thinking about getting into real estate always ask this question, like, how long does this take me? How long does that take me? Well, there's no point blank answer, obviously. But so when it came from you starting this thing in 2009 to the time where you let go of the vine, so you realized that, you may have been getting in the way, maybe that a lot of the tasks just weren't meant for you. When did you start realizing that, hey, I need to let go of this thing and start putting some of these tasks off to maybe Kaliko or Brad or, other people that you have in the business. So at what point from 2009 to now did you realize that? And then I know that we said in 2017 you started letting go, but I mean, how long did it take you to realize that and, get to that point where you were just ready to let go?
So it was probably after I started doing my first new build in 2014, I realized that it was going to require a lot more time than I had to manage that new build and also, keep my pipeline full. So that's when I started to really search around and try and find someone who could manage that job for me. And I actually used a guy that was doing some other rehab work for me who'd done some management before. And, again, I had limited success. There's a lot of things I would have done differently, but it allowed me to step out of that a little bit and then just check on it. But I realized at that point that there's no way physically I could build that new house in an efficient way and also run a business. And at that point I was full time. So it was make or break. It was go time. If I didn't make it, nobody was making it for me. And that really kind of pushes you to constantly look at what you're doing and does it make sense and is it efficient? And I think one of the things that a lot of people don't think about is opportunity cost. Everybody's always thinking about, how much is it going to cost for this? How much is it going to cost for that? So, with my manager, it was like, okay, he's going to cost this much, but he's going to free me up so I can do this much more. And that's really kind of a mind shift. I think a lot of investors are always focused on, what's this rehab or this build or whatever going to cost, but there's, you have price and then you have cost.
So in you and your own business, if you were going to focus all your time on building that new house, then you wouldn't have had time to go get the next deal or get that deal funded or start the next rehab or sell any other house that you might have in the pipeline. So that's so true, especially if you're going to do more than a one deal at a time. You're going to get to the point where you tell yourself, I can only do one deal at a time. And every single time you start over, you're starting that momentum all over again. So instead of like that train that's moving down the railroad tracks moving, like that nothing can really stop it. Like you have to really churn to start all over again. And that's what you want to do. You want to have momentum going in acquisitions, momentum going in your funding process, or momentum in your closing process, momentum in getting utilities turned on and getting the rehab started. Yep. The rehab start is a process in itself, right, Jeff?
Oh man! The more time you spend up front, the better it goes.
It is, absolutely. But you have to keep momentum in that so that everybody knows and everybody's on the same page of this is what needs to happen next. And then getting the rehab done, and then the ending process of a rehab is just as important as the front because you want to make sure all those details are right and all the punch list items are done. Buyers see those things. Buyers see when trim isn't put up or a piece of base shoe is missing or whatever the case is. You think it might be small, but it's a big deal. And when they see something that's small, then they start thinking, well, there's other big things behind the walls that you forgot as well.
That's right.
But you've got to have momentum every step of the way. You can't just let go of any of those balls. And it's only humanly possible to do one thing at a time. Sometimes we think that we're multitaskers. We're not. Nobody is. Even a juggler can only touch one ball at a time. Right. So you might be juggling and you might be throwing it in somebody else's court and then they're throwing it back to you. But until you can relinquish that responsibility to somebody else and only come back and check when you think it's necessary to come back and check, that's when you can really start creating momentum because then it's their responsibility to do that task every single time.
Yep.
And I think that's just a huge, especially in being a leader. A leader will focus on creating momentum in every aspect of their business, creating momentum on marketing, creating momentum on getting the house under contract, creating momentum on closing that deal and making sure that thing closes, creating momentum on getting the deals funded. Like you want to create systems and processes that can, like you said, automate as much of that as you possibly can, but you've got to be willing to let go of that to somebody.
Yeah, that was a good analogy with the multitasking.
I've never heard that before. It's awesome.
I've never heard that before.
People miss that so much, and then they're stuck being a solopreneur for so long. And I'm like, the reason why you're a solopreneur for 30 years is because you haven't let go of anything. and they think nobody can do it as good as me. But at the end of the day, like, I bet you most of the time they can do it better than you. Like, I have a funding coordinator. I think she does my loans better than I do. Like, I don't even know half the time. And
you know, the thing is like, you know, if your effort is 100%, you do it right 100% of the time, which is never the case, right? We all make mistakes. If someone can do it 80% as good as you, that should be good enough.
Right.
Because you can fill that other 20% gap, or that gap will eventually fill itself. And so that's, you know, that's just a mind shift. That's all that is.
Yeah.
The other thing we forget about is when we started, we weren't 80% as good. So they started out better than we did.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I told you my first contractor ended up in jail for crack possession. And, you know, I ended up finishing the tile in that flip, but, you know, that taught me a lot of lessons to, you know, make sure you know who you're working with.
Yeah. So besides the fact that you live in Charlotte or the Charlotte area, I'm not sure if you're geographically located in Charlotte, but why does that market work for you? Why do you choose to just stay there and just niche yourself in that market?
Well, I love Charlotte just because of the quality of life here. The climate is fantastic. We have 4 seasons. The winter's not too harsh, so we can still rehab in the winter.
I was going to say we have 4 seasons, but
yeah,
in January.
January's a little rough to do a roof in January, right?
Yeah.
So there's people moving here, lots of people moving here, so that creates a lot of opportunity. There's lots of cool things to do. It's very family friendly. People are nice. You know, it's not Atlanta yet. I'm hoping it never turns into Atlanta. No offense to anybody who lives in Atlanta, but it's just a great place to live, and there's just a lot of opportunity here. And one of the things I have noticed, we have a local RIA here that I run a subgroup for, but everybody in the real estate investment community here is willing to help each other. Like, you don't see a lot of, you know, contact or resource hoarding going on. We all kind of share openly and we work together, and it's amazing the synergy that creates. So I sort of lucked into starting my business here, but I can't imagine doing it anywhere else. I don't know what you guys experience with your local real estate investment clubs up there, but I think we have kind of an anomaly down here with how helpful everybody is.
Yeah, I think that's another misconception too. A lot of times we think, oh, they're our competition, we can't give them anything, their secrets. But like, the more you give your secrets, the more they give theirs. And it's just like, and a lot of times, like, what I find out is a lot of the other guys, they can't do all the deals at once. So then they'll wholesale me the deals. And I mean, it really works in a lot better synergistic way if we're just willing to be open and give and not think that it's all here for us, because there's plenty out there.
Yep.
So,
absolutely.
All right. So last final question here, guys. If you're on the live stream, thank you so much for watching us. Thank you for joining us with Jeff Johnson here. But this is the golden question here. So if for somebody that is going to begin to get into fix and flip, somebody who's maybe just started, done maybe 1 or 2 deals, or seriously thinking about it, even if they're just wholesaling and now they're trying to get into fix and flip, what would you tell them that you wish you knew when you started fix and flipping?
Network. You know, stop everything else you're doing and start networking. Join a local RIA, go to some subgroup meetings and get around people who are doing what you want to do, and ask a lot of questions. Don't be afraid to tell people you don't know what you're doing, because no one's going to share anything if they don't know that you need help. And really, that's it. Networking. That was the biggest mistake I made, is I didn't start networking out of the gate, and I really wish I would have. And then you'd be surprised how helpful. In fact, I've got a Facebook and email conversation I've got going with a new wholesaler right now who's just getting started wholesaling houses. He's been doing land for a while, but you know, I sent him my my rehab ballpark spreadsheet and a bunch of other stuff to help him analyze his deals, because you know, the more good deals he can bring in, the more he understands what a good deal is, the more deals I'm going to have in front of me. So there's just this mutual benefit there. There's just this symbiosis that goes on when we help each other. So just, get to some meetings, get around some people, ask some questions, and, don't be afraid to be vulnerable.
That's key. Cause like, I know that a lot of people, when they start getting into networking, a lot of people just aren't naturally good with being social. So one thing I like to, and I had to do this myself when I first started hanging around you type of people, is that be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Right.
Once you get into that, then you can talk to anybody and you're good to go. So if you're out there and you have a hard time talking with people, just start doing it is the first thing. Just get into it and just start talking to people. And then once you've done that, then you'll find that it's easy just to go about it. Just like
that's it.
So.
Well, I think what a lot of people, they get into it and they think they've got to know everything or act like they know everything or like they're big players. And, you can see right through those people right up front. There's nothing more touching to me when somebody comes and goes, hey, I'm just getting started. I have no idea what I'm doing. Do you have anything you can share with me or any helpful tips? Man, I'll spend an hour after a meeting sitting there talking to somebody like that. Whereas if somebody, puffs their chest up and comes up to me and says, hey, I've got, this much money and I know this many people. I'm like, all right, whatever. They may know that many people, but it just, there's just something endearing about humility that I think most people are drawn to that. They just are.
I think the other thing that people don't think about is that in communication, the listening part of the communication is so much more communicative than actually talking. So when you're listening to somebody, you're actually communicating in a much larger sense than the people that are talking. So just go to the groups and just listen for a while. You'll get to understand what their lingo is and what they're talking about. And I don't care who you are, you know something that other people don't know. That's right. Figuring out what that is and how you can insert yourself to be able to help, it takes the listening part first and asking the questions, like you said, being vulnerable. I mean, part of what the Good Success Mastermind is that every single person that comes has to be vulnerable for a period of time and just has to ask questions and how can I make my business better, or what's my opportunity, what's my challenge right now. So just to kind of review, you said just when you first started, like before we even got going in this, you talked about helping others build their business, and that's going to eventually build yours. You said, let other people know what your needs are. That goes back to being vulnerable. The more people you let know what your needs are, the more people will know about you, and they'll think that, and they'll like you because you're humble, like you said. It's not about necessarily who you know, it's about who knows you. So you've got to get out there and you've got to network. You talked about in your own business, what's most important to Jeff is loyalty and character. And that's like making sure that somebody's going to be loyal to you, making sure that they're going to do what they say they're going to do, be honest, and the skills will come later. And I totally attest to that. I totally agree with that. Focus on the people, not the profit. One of our core values is community, and like in our core value, like speech or underneath it, it's like people. It's all about the people. So it's very important. People, if you have the right people, you can go a long period of time and not make money, but eventually you will make money if you have the right people. I promise you. So building margin, you talked about that with your houses, but we also talked about that with relationships, your brand. You did over 200 offers. It took you 9 months. You said don't give up, but also have the commitment and be consistent with what you're doing. And that goes back to momentum as well, like that consistency, the momentum of the consistency, and just having that sure schedule. Network. What you focus on expands, even though like Jeff didn't talk about this, like he was focusing on real estate and then all of a sudden like his career got chopped out from underneath him. And you're not the only person. It's actually funny. I know 3 engineers, and Jim Ingersoll, John Morey, all of them, same thing. Like they were focusing on real estate and their job got taken away from them. But what you focus on expands. Letting go, the best thing he's done in the last 2 years. It was the hardest thing to do, but it's the best thing he was able to do. Let him get out of his day-to-day grind, doing the $10, $20 an hour tasks, and now he's actually being able to do the tasks that he should be in his core genius. Also giving him time to recharge, and sometimes we forget to do that.
Yep.
And then help local people. Go around. There's a group in our area. Justin Smits and Adrian Shabbat have it, and they've created a great group that really helps the other investors. teach people how to do tax sales, teach people how to do the ways that they acquire. You would think that that's like some secret sauce, but they're teaching everybody. They're getting deals out of it. They're getting lenders out of it. And I think that they're doing a great job with it. I appreciate them a lot. And the very number one best tip you said for anybody is to network. Get out of your comfort zone. Go talk to people. And I totally agree with that. I mean, you can't do any better than that. So you have to network. You've got to know people.
That's right.
Yeah, good stuff. So I think that's going to be it, Jeff. We appreciate you being on the live stream here with us and taking the time, even though last week we had some complications. We thank you for getting back on here with us, taking the time to do that. And hopefully you guys watching here got a lot of value out of that. Jeff has a lot of knowledge to share. If you guys want to get a hold of him, Jeff, how would they be able to get in contact with you?
All right. Well, the number on our website goes to our acquisitions team. So that's not a valid number for questions. But my personal cell phone number is 704-488-8332. Text is usually the best way to get a hold of me. And my voicemail says so. Or you can email me at newpathproperties@gmail.com. And I try and respond to everybody. I don't, I can't take a ton of time, but I try and respond to everybody and be as helpful as I can in the time that I have. So yeah, absolutely love to hear from some folks and see what I can do to help.
Fantastic. And then you guys, we have his website linked below, gonewpath.com. It is a brand new website. So you guys check that out. And it has all their bios and from the team. We talked about Kaliko and Brad. It has them in there. And did you want to say something?
No, I just wanted to thank Jeff for being on and being coming on twice. So
yes,
thank you so
much.
Absolutely.
No problem.
Yeah, we appreciate that. So if you guys know Jeff, if you guys know Jeff, because maybe he shared the live stream here, and then you guys are friends with him on Facebook, or you like New Path Properties page or whatever, make sure you guys check us out as well. Jeff is in our Good Success Mastermind. Our mastermind is where we bring elite real estate investors from across the country into one room. They collaborate 4 times a year, and then throughout every single month, we have a monthly mastermind call. And so we talked about networking a lot. This is like your opportunity at the mastermind. That's one of the biggest things that we really focus on is the networking time. And then also you guys get to, it's all about giving as well, and then bringing your issues and helping everybody solve their problems in their business and, get past those barriers that may be blocking you from growing your business. And so that's what we focus on a lot. Jeff is in that mastermind. If you guys want to know more about the mastermind, go to goodsuccess.com/mastermind. We'll have it linked below for you guys so you can go check it out there. Our next event is May 9 through 11. We do have an application that you have to fill out, so make sure that you fill that out. And then because we vet not just your numbers, but we also vet what type of person you are, your character, and we don't just let anybody in the room. And so guys like Jeff are just the down-to-earth people that we let in the room. Everybody's like Jeff in a way, just not exactly like Jeff. But
thank goodness, that'd be boring.
Right.
They're not as Hollywood as Jeff.
They're not as Hollywood as yeah. So anyway, we'll have that linked below. And then also, if you guys are not subscribed to the Good Success Podcast, make sure you are. We'll have all the links below. Everything's linked below. We're on iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and Anchor. And then we also have our social media platforms that you guys can follow us on. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So that's going to do it for today's episode, guys. Jeff, thanks again for coming on. And we look forward to having you back soon.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
All right. So I think that's it. Is that it?
That's it. Have a good success day, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. And remember, whether you're looking to survive, thrive, or matter, our goal is to provide the tools to reach your vision. Thanks again for listening. And until next time.